So, good morning, everybody.
No, we got to do it better than that. You guys have been here. That's not acceptable. Okay, let's do this one more time. Good morning.
Good morning. There
That'll
you go.
work.
Very
That'll
good.
work.
So, welcome to our roof maintenance and wherewithal seminar. We do this every fall, once a year. We are here to give you information. I've done this since 1979, and he's not far behind me, so between the two of us, we've got 65, 70 years worth of accumulated experience. My name is Dan. I'm kind of we're not sure what I do here, just kind of do it on the weekends. This is Dave Taylor. He is the service manager, leader of this whole debacle at the main
It can be
shop.
called a debacle sometimes, yes. Most of the time, it's a finely tuned Swiss watch.
Sometimes. So we're here to give you information, and we are driven by your questions. So if you have questions, throw something, raise your hand. We'll probably repeat the question so that for all the 2 or 3 people on YouTube enjoying this, they can hear the question. If you're in some kind of a FBI secret program and you don't want to be found out, just don't look at that gentleman in the back. Yeah, you'll be just
How many
fine.
people we got watching, Daryl?
Nobody so far?
Numbers so big you can't even count it. 4,000. That's not bad.
Yeah.
We're almost to our $1
Now I
million
gotta have
or
to
$1 million
behave.
mark. Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to start this thing. This one's kind of a free forum. We're going to talk about rubber roof maintenance and how to seal your roof, what kind of materials to use. I'm going to start out with just making a couple of broad statements, and then the service manager, who is a lot more technically oriented than I am, he's going to describe the hows and wheres and all of that. So I get this quite a bit because I deal with the sales department on a daily basis with people that are just purchasing their coaches, and I have several service writers that work for me, and this question comes up a lot. I have a 10-year warranty on my rubber roof. Why do I have to pay to have the roof sealed, and why do I have to seal my roof or inspect it every 3 to 6
I
months?
hand these out. You guys can kind of look at
Dave's
that stuff.
handing out a piece of the ethylene polydimorphic rubber, EPDM rubber, that the majority of RVs are covered with these days. It is a black rubber. The top has a pigment, and that pigment can be a white eggshell. It can be brown. For a while, Bounders back in around the year 2000 had a kind of a purplish roof, kind of weird brownish purple. So they can put any color on there you want. People notice that when you leave your coach outside and you go out and look at it, it has gray and white streaks coming down the sides of your coach. What that is what they call industrial fallout, or he's seen them 100 times. Industrial fallout or pollution, and it streaks on the side. And I'm going to in a little while tell you how you can kind of slow that down. The pigment, after a period of years, will fade away. At that point, you'll want to replace the rubber, because to put new pigment on it is a very difficult thing to do, and we won't do it. So the question is why do we recommend you inspect your roof every 6 months when you have a 10-year warranty? Well, the answer is the manufacturers don't, it's kind of a sales gimmick. The rubber itself is guaranteed for 10 years because back in the beginning, so many of the customers were a little shy about rubber because we were using aluminum. The vast majority of coaches had aluminum roofs. So this new rubbery stuff, I don't know much about that. I don't think so. Well, it's actually very good stuff. So back then they put a 10-year warranty on it to to placate the people, it's going to be okay. It actually has turned out to be much better insulator, much quieter, and it is very durable, and it does a great job. But this 10-year warranty has really nothing to do with the coach. It was just something to make people feel better about the product. Most manufacturers will warranty the sealant for about 3 months. After the first 3 months, you're on your own, but they do tell you to have your roof inspected or inspect your roof at least twice a year. And what you're looking for is cracks, heaving, separation, flaws, gaps, voids. Our guys, they go nuts over voids. It's got voids. So you want a continuous, nice, smooth sealant at each seam, at each transition, like the edges, the caps, around the vents, all of that. You want a nice, even sealant that is obviously bonding to both materials. We do free roof inspections a couple times a year. If you just come in, and when the shop supervisor has a minute, we just run out there and we do it. And then if you want to do it yourself, he'll take pictures of any problems and send them to you on your phone. And then I can help you, show you what kind of materials or the parts people can to use to do it yourself if you don't want us to do it, because it can be quite expensive. Any questions so far? I'm throwing this stuff out at you. We don't do this to try and sell you something. We try to do this for just the information, but we do it so that we can help you. We have more, matter of fact, we had a meeting last night, management meeting last night. We have more work than we can handle, so we're not here, you know, trying to get work. Yes, ma'am.
So what is quite expensive?
Quite expensive as far as repairs? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
It can be quite expensive.
Well, it's $130 an hour.
Okay.
And depending on how much roof repair you need, just in sealant on a roof, it's real easy to spend 8 to 12 hours. And then, of course, if you're doing a full roof, there's 12 to 16 to 18 tubes of dichlor at, how much is that stuff now?
$12.95 a tube.
$12.95 a tube. So it's not uncommon to have $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 roof jobs, which people that come in and have that done every 5 to 7 years usually never have an issue. But it's always that one leak, and it's usually the first 2 or 3 years. We see a lot of coaches in here the first 3 years of their life that the guy uses it 4 times a year, puts it next to the house. Why should he? It's only 3 years old. Why should he check the seals? There's reasons, and I'll kind of draw pictures and show you what I can. But even side seals, it's real easy on a 32 to 34 foot motorhome that needs a full peel and seal. When I say peel and seal, we take first demonstration. That's a standard roof vent. Even Highline motorhomes have roof vents. You'll see all the sealant on it. I know why this one's out. We have a couple stacks of them because somebody wanted a fantastic fan installed. So right there, that sealant, once it starts to go, you'll see I can just take my fingernail. This is new sealant. Even after 8 years, you should be, it stays like this. It's a self-leveling, elastic sealant. When we get up on a roof and do a complete peel and seal, we take tools and we take this clear down to where you're almost right back to the metal, right back to the rubber or the fiberglass or whatever your roof is. That takes the majority of the time, is doing all that without damaging your rubber and getting as much of the old off. Then we go through and use the same product and do a complete seal. So basically you're back to factory specs, probably even a little better than factory. We get units in brand new that when we do inspections for delivery, we find where the factory didn't quite get it in the right spot. Or we can do an overlay. Sometimes, especially the first 2 or 3 years, what you'll get is sticky stuff. You have 3 products here. You have a rubber roof, an aluminum frame, and then your sealant. So you have 3 products stuck together, and they get sunny and cold, and then it gets sunny and cold, and then sunny and cool. And it does this quiet, every day of the year. Temperature goes up and down. So right here, right along the edge of the aluminum and the rubber, where this overlays, you'll get cracking. Cracking isn't too bad as long as when you see the cracking, those are screw holes, by the way. So when they overlay this with that sealant, it's going to crack right through here. It's going to be real fine cracking. First thing that's going to happen is dirt. All the dust that's normally on your roof is going to collect in a low spot, just like in your house or wherever. It's that spot you can't get to behind grandma's picture that's always dusty. Once that dust gets in there, it's okay for a while. You should get up and wash your roof every 6 months to a year anyways. You're not going to get all that dirt out of there. So then what happens is that dirt starts to grow mold in it. That mold will actually start to deteriorate the sealant more than anything. The sun really doesn't have a huge effect on this other than the retract and expand and back and forth. So once you start getting that mold, you can go in there with some Acrosol or some other cleaning adhesive or a cleaning product. This is an auto body degreaser. We use probably hundreds of these cans a year here. We take a toothbrush and a shop rag. These are our rolls of something a little heavier than a paper towel. Clean them as good as you can. Then you're going to take your sealant and you're just going to run a nice bead right over top of that crack. It's self-leveling, so it's going to come out, 1/4 of an inch wide. You look at it 10 minutes later, it's going to be a 1/2 inch wide. That's going to get you another several years. That's just on your horizontal on the roof sealants. Skylights, vents, black tank, gray tank vents through the top, satellites, solar panels. I think I said solar panels twice because you need them.
Which is fine. They've got several.
Yeah.
They're dry campers.
So depending on if we're going to overlay or peel and seal is a huge difference in cost. If we're doing a peel and seal, we get people that come in every 3 or 4 years and they have us do a complete seal, sides and roof. Well, just to peel your entry door properly without scratching your paint and decals and then reselling it could be an hour. Large windows can be a 1/2 hour to an hour. I've seen people come in every 3 to 4 years and spend $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 having a complete seal done. So if you just want a roof overlay, we can usually do those in 3 to 5 hours. A complete peel and seal, depending on the length and how many things you have through the roof. 10 to 12 to 14. And depending on what sealant the factory used. If you come in with a full paint coach and you inform me you want your entry door sealed and they used Parbond or a Proflex, I'm going to get away from this because you like to explain this part, but depending on the sealant used, some sealants, if it's around an entry door, you have to flip a coin with the guys in the shop to see who's going to take it off, because they'll be there a long time getting that old sealant off. It's still not a good sealant because it's cracked in the middle and it's going to be taking on water soon, but it sticks so well that the only way to get it off is to take that adhesive remover and just rub it until your fingers are sore to get it off. If you take it someplace and they say, oh, we'll just overlay it on the side walls, entry doors, that's fine, but it's not a permanent fix. That's a year or two fix. We will only overlay a roof usually once, twice maximum, depending on your history. We take a look at it. We've seen coaches come in 10 years old where the guy's neighbor guy has helped him seal it for the last 10 years, and the sealant is that wide and about 2 inches tall. And it'll take us 15, 20 hours to get that old. Overlay's fine, but it's a short-term fix. And we all do it. I do it on mine. So now he's gonna start to explain the difference in the sealants, because there is a difference in roof sealants and side sealants. And we have our preferences.
Yes, we do. Are you going to hide that from me?
No, this is my preference.
So anyway, sealants, and I've been holding this, getting it nice and warm. And again, we are not here to sell you something. We're here to give you information. And one of the saddest things I've ever seen is these people bought a coach and you know, they want to do everything themselves. This was their dream, but they didn't have a lot of money. And they went down to Jerry's and bought some silicone and got up on the roof and started going at it. And about $12,000 later, they got a new roof. The problem is, in these sealants, there is what's called a carrier solvent. This solvent is what keeps this sealant liquid while it's in the tube. And when it comes out of the tube, it immediately starts to evaporate so that the solvent can cure and go into its natural state. Now the problem is these solvents are designed to etch into the substrate material, and if you're using a home construction type sealant, they're designed to attach to brick, masonry, concrete, wood, steel, vinyl windows, things like that, but they're not designed to attach to EPDM, ethylene polydimorphic rubber. So when you caulk out some of this DAP roof patch or whatever you buy from Jerry's or Home Depot or Lowe's, the carrier solvent starts attacking the rubber, and it actually can destroy the rubber. It kind of turns it into this wrinkly cottage cheese kind of stuff. And what it does is it goes down and breaks down the rubber and then gets down into the adhesive and into the plywood, and it basically destroys the rubber. So it is very important when you decide if you want to do your own roof maintenance, that after we do our free roof inspection, or whoever you have do it, someone you trust, after that roof inspection is done, I had offered to go over with you and discuss the sealants, because this is very important. I love Jerry's. I've been a supporter of them for a long time, but they do not sell the kind of sealants that we can use on RVs. Another thing, everybody knows silicone, wonderful stuff, but what you don't understand is, besides this, the carrier solvent issue, silicone and a lot of these silicone-based roof sealant patches, tub and tile bath and all of those, the silicone makes it what's called a bipolar material. So if you had like a trailer with aluminum skin on it, an aluminum window, or an aluminum frame door on your motorhome, what happens is, and it looks beautiful, you know, you get it nice and clean and it feathers it out and that, and then you go back a week later and you notice you can stick your finger underneath the fiberglass side, because it is this polar material. It will bond molecularly to a metal. And because it's like a magnet, it's polar, it'll then repel itself from any other material, except for things like wood, masonry, things like that that are extremely porous. But if you have an aluminum frame and you have a nice, beautiful, painted, full body paint job on your $500,000 motorhome, that silicone is going to do no favors to the sidewall, and it's going to molecularly bond to the aluminum frame. And then if you want to try and take it off, you actually have to, there are special silicone removers that you can use, but you don't want to use something that's so strong it destroys your paint. It's a bad thing. The only thing that we use silicone for is around the top of a tub wrap or a shower wrap in the shower. That is the only time you'll see that in our industry. There's hardly anything else. We were talking earlier on about putting a new differential in a motorhome, and the only other, we use RTV silicone on some of those applications, but for wall and ceiling and all of that, we don't use silicone because it will do you, it'll look beautiful, but it won't be sealing it. That surface tension of that water will just suck right under there and it'll pump it right into your walls. And that's not a good thing. So you have to be very careful. This Proflex is like the par bond. I grew up in this industry, and Koch Engineering par bond's been around since the 70s, and it's great stuff. You put it on your hotcakes. It's very good for vertical surfaces. It's fairly easy to apply. Most of the guys like this because we do it in such high volume. This is very similar stuff. Dave will tell you how to put it on. I'm going to tell you how to take it off. Get an old toothbrush, and on the bristle end, file it down so that the bristles are gone, and that last little wide spot of the head of the toothbrush, you grind it down to like a 45 degree, and now you've got a scraper chisel. And the nylon in the toothbrush will not scratch fiberglass or metal or any paints, but it's strong enough that it will get under and it'll chew up most of any of the material you're trying to use. Obviously, you're not going to do that on the rubber roof, but on a vertical surface, you need to maintain a seal around your doors, your vents, your windows, any protrusion into your sidewall. You need to have a small amount of sealant just to keep it out. And after a few years, or if you bought a used unit, then you're going to go out with this modified toothbrush and scrape it all off. And then you're going to use a little of this to get the last remnants nice and clean. When I was in college in chemistry, we were taught when you clean your glassware, you wash it 3 times, rinse it 3 times, and then you put a little acetone in it, and the acetone drives away any moisture or anything that's in that glassware. And then when it evaporates, there is nothing in there except for glass. And it's the same thing with this stuff. It is very strong solvent, and it will attack anything you want, but it will not attack the rubber, it will not attack the fiberglass or the paint. So when we are done and this is evaporated, there is no residue to inhibit adhesion from the new sealant. So if a guy wants to do the job right, I understand he's trying to save a buck, but you've got to buy the right stuff, and that includes the right sealant. Otherwise, there's going to be something else there that's going to inhibit the adhesion, and you just wasted your time. So wherever you go to buy the stuff, hopefully if it's a good dealer, they'll have some of this stuff out there. They'll have the right kind of product, and they'll guide you through it. Our guys really know this stuff, and so if I'm not here, or they have plenty of time and I don't, they can walk you through that if you have questions.
You still have to be careful with this because it will attack some plastics. So if you're up on the roof doing your skylight, spraying it on the seal that you're trying to clean and prep, don't shower the whole top of your coach with it, because it can start to melt a skylight, some plexiglasses. I mean, it has great uses, but just use it for the seal. Don't spray it all over everything. And if you're spraying it around a window, we teach the new guys this pretty fast. Some trailers aren't full paint, they have decals. If your decal goes underneath the window, don't just spray this all over and let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes to help eat up the sealant, because when you come back, your sealant will be loose, but you'll look down and the decal will be laying on the ground, because it will attack the glue behind the decal. So use it, just not on plastics or decals. Sorry.
No, that's
Now,
that's
the
good.
reason I like this, they're really close products. The reason I like this, in my toolbox in my fifth wheel, I have this. At home, I have the big caulking gun. Because usually what I'll do is go set up for camping, and we get there early, and I read for an hour, we start the fire, mess around, and instantly I start looking at my fifth wheel, and the next thing you know, I'm running around with my paper towel and this, just touching up. A little spot there doesn't look right. Come over here, yeah, use a little bit right there. That's self-preservation. Stick a little in that little spot if it doesn't look right. As long as you do it pretty. This is very sticky. It's not like silicone where you know, silicone, you can do it all day long with your finger and just wipe it in a rag, wash your hands and you're good. This, you're going to want to have some kind of a definite spit. We use alcohol spray. Once you put this on, you want to use a little like that, because if not, you'll wipe it off, go to stick it in a paper towel, and you'll have half the paper towel on your finger, and then you're going to be there with alcohol getting it off your fingers. So it's really good, but it's sticky. And this is just handy to have. Sorry, that's my big spiel. Sides. Yep. Anything but roof, front cap, or rear cap. Let me draw rear cap, front cap quick.
Well, while he's drawing that, I just want to say real quick, this lap sealant is for the rubber fiberglass, and there's other membranes out there now. There's acrylic, and this works fine with all of the material membrane roofs. This is for horizontal surfaces only because it's self-leveling. Now, they make the same thing that is a lot thicker that is for vertical surfaces, and we have that also. There's a lot of rubber roofs come around the top rocker, and they'll have a radius on the roof. And so you use this everywhere except for when you start to go over, then you switch to the non-self-leveling and you finish the vertical surfaces. But you do not use this on your side walls around your protrusions.
It'll just roll down the side of the coach. It never hardens. Okay, as you can tell, I aced art class. This should look like a motorhome. If it doesn't, let's both leave.
That front one's the door, right?
Well, this is driver's side.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
that's the driver's window. Everybody gets all wrapped up in the roof, and they forget that on that roof you're going to have places where other things meet it. Not only the antennas and satellites and everything up top, but you're going to have a fiberglass wall that this rubber roof is going to go over, and they're going to take trim and put all the way down the side. Then across the front, this fiberglass cap's going to come up, and they're either going to go under it with the rubber or over it with 1.5 inches trim across the top of that. So you're going to have, we call this front cap, rear cap seals, side seals. Now these are tricky because they're really kind of on the roof, but not really on the roof. So that's where we use a par bond, because you have something for it to lay in, a trough, which is a seal. We would do Dicor on the top and on the front cap and rear cap to the radius. When we get to the radius, then we switch over to par bond or a ProFlex. A lot of people would do their windows and not once think about their bay doors. Then when you're doing your bay door, remember you have an exterior shower, an exterior water heater, your furnace, all the windows, where depending on your unit, if you don't have a compartment where your hose and everything goes in, your hose hookup could be on the side. Everything they've drilled a hole through that thing on, or put it together, has a seal behind it and over it. Usually the new sealants that are behind the trims are good for just about ever. But it's that top sealant, the Dicor, the Proflexes. We get coaches in here, I say coaches, we get trailers in here, customers owned it, 10 to 14 months. They're just almost out of warranty, or they're out of warranty. They come in and see Dan and say, hey, I got up on the roof first time here last week, and there's this big soft spot in the corner. So Dan gets the job to let him know that your sealants are only good for 90 days, and we'll let you know what the cost is. Well, if we can take it apart back there, sometimes pull the rubber up, do a little patch, and you get out of here for $1,200–1,500. If we have to start replacing big chunks, then a guy's going to get up there with a razor knife, cut that rubber roof about every 2 feet, peel it off. Depending on how bad it is, he's going to have to replace sheets, because they're all put in 4x8 sheets, depending on the material. Then depending on when we pull the rubber roof off the rest of the roof, how it looks, because a lot of the time that glue they use will pull up chunks of the oriented strand board or paneling. Sometimes we have to do a complete overlay. So somewhere between about $5,000 and $12,000 later, it looks really nice. You get a brand new rubber roof with that cool rubber on it. But you're going to have to get a hold of your insurance company and hope that they're going to cover it. And we hate that discussion with people because it's hard. It's hard for us to tell people that. It's really hard when they still have a month of warranty left and they're sure that the manufacturer, it's all their fault. And that's why we try here. We try very hard when we're giving a walkthrough to let people know you need to keep track of these seals. It's your responsibility. We call it taking ownership. We try to, on a walkthrough, have you take ownership, take it out of our hands, and give you everything you need to know that we've got to keep track of, not just for the first year, but forever. We like to tell people that your batteries, they evaporate the moisture out of them, the water out of them. 14 months after you own it, when they're dry and the cells are bad, and you're yelling at us, we told you got to check the fluid. So there's a whole list of stuff we go over on walkthroughs that are maintenance items. And there's a reason for that. And it's funny how people will learn everything on a walkthrough, and the only thing they'll forget is 3 of the 5 things we ask them to do on maintenance. Those, they'll swear up and down we never told them. But it's yours at that point. So, and it's a hard conversation to have, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Especially when he calls you and says, well, you may want to come down here and chat with me. If he doesn't want to give you an estimate over the phone, it's a good one.
It's a tough one. So you guys are starting to get the feeling that paying attention to your roof is a very good thing. If you don't, it's going to cost money. And we live in, I think, God's country, and we get a lot of rain here, and that's a good thing. So the roof is an important thing. We don't really want you up on the roofs. We're willing to do a free roof inspection, and if you have someone, or if you are a do-it-yourselfer and you're comfortable, we're happy to help you. Now, we're going to move slightly beyond just maintenance, and we're going to talk about that tree. We don't know where it came from, we don't know how we hit it, but we hit it. And if it's not too big a deal, you can buy a small patch kit and sneak out of here without having to confess your sins. If it's just a small rip, this has adhesive on the back, and basically you just clean it, lay it all back down, and put it back together, pat it really good, make it feel good, and then you can lay this out, and then you caulk out the sealant around it, and pray to the RV gods that everything is fine. Occasionally that happens. These EPDM rubber roofs and the other ones are all like a rubber band. If you pull a rubber band far enough, you start seeing holes in it. And what happens when you drag a branch across your roof is you've exacerbated these holes, and now it's going to start wicking water in. So you fix the little area that's really bad, but you can see where it kind of scuffed along quite a bit. I can guarantee you now you're going to have a 12-foot long continuous water leak, and it's going to wick in, and you may not see it for a year and a half because it may be traveling all the way over to the low corner and then dribbling out of something, and then you think it's over here, but it's way back over there because water travels.
Leaks are hard to fix.
Yeah.
Hard to find.
Hard to find. So if you have a problem, there are quick fixes, but then you really need to have somebody that knows what they're doing take a look at it, because our biggest tickets, besides the side swipes where a concrete truck takes out the side of a motorhome for 40, 50,000, and we do a lot of those. The next biggest ticket, I believe, is the roofs, right?
Roofs and floors.
Roofs and floors, and it's
usually we can save a roof. We can usually, even if we have to go clear inside and replace panels. Within the last 3 years, we've totaled numerous units that were less than 3 years old. Totaled $27,000 to $35,000 to $40,000 to replace floors.
Because of water.
Because of water.
Yeah.
And it's because the floor is the first piece that goes in. We've done several of these repairs, and believe me, when you come in and we have to actually bring it in on the frame, we take 2x4s and screw them into your sidewalls, and then we take 2x4s down to the concrete, and we support the whole frame, and we go inside and tear out all the walls and refrigerators and countertops, and then we let the air out of your tires, and you watch it all separate. You know, all your sidewalls and everything are just hanging there on these 2x4s. Then we have to start replacing 1.5 inch plywood, one strip at a time, re-drilling holes, black tanks have to come out. Basically, it goes clear to the frame. It's a huge ordeal. Then when we're done, we unscrew all this and send it over to the body shop to fix the 40 or 50 holes in the side of your unit. A lot better luck if it's what we call a stick and tin unit, which is an aluminum structure or wooden structure with aluminum siding, the wavy siding. Then we can just take the structure off, screw to the sheet, the wood or the aluminum. But if it's a hard side trailer, it can be done. It's very expensive. So floors, we do more roofs, but when a floor gets bad, it's ugly. So, sorry, I hate to be, he's kind of leaving all this doom and gloom stuff on me, isn't he? Kind of feeding that to me. I was going to show him that over here.
I thought that's okay. You wandered off into the...
No.
Okay.
So he mentioned that what we like to call a roof stutter. When that branch catches, rips a tear, and then goes bang, 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 bang down about every inch for 5 or 6 more feet. And you can see there's just a little hole. You could get up there and go squirt, 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 squirt all the way across the roof. Or you can take this, which is basically a piece of thinner EPDM rubber with some sticky stuff on the back, and just do a nice bead of this along the top and then seal it along the edge. Now I caution you with this. I don't know where they come up with this sticky stuff on the back, but it's like masking tape. If it touches itself, just throw it away. If you get this, if you get too big of a piece and this rolls around and goes kink and touches itself, cut it off, throw it in the garbage, because you're not getting it apart. When you go to put it on the roof, you're going to clean it with some cleaner. And when you go to stick it, if it's much more than you can handle, you're going to have somebody else help you. And you're going to go 1, 2, 3 now. Because if somebody's not paying attention, they accidentally stick it down over here when the tear's over there, guess what? Your rubber roof now has a patch in a spot it didn't need a patch, because it's not coming off. It is that sticky. It's like magic sticky. Don't think of it as temporary, no. I mean, it is to a point because it's thinner. It's thinner. Yeah. So it's thinner, and then you have to run bead down the side. Temporary in the fact that it may only last 6 to 12 years instead of 18 to 20. And they sell smaller rolls of this. It's not cheap. I think this roll here is...
That's about 60 bucks.
About $60. But if you need that much on your roof, you should have come saw us a long time ago. But they do sell smaller rolls, and I believe they will sell partial rolls here. They'll roll it off by the foot. Now, I don't know if I'd keep it in my fifth wheel if you camp in the summer a lot, because this is so sticky, and it's a gooey. I mean, it might just all wind up in the bottom of your toolbox. So it's out there and pretty accessible. That's great stuff. Now, if you get up there and you think that's a little more than it's a little bit bigger tear than just that, that's when you come see us and we can get your insurance companies. We pay our insurance. You know, I try not to use mine so they don't go up, but I mean, there's a reason we use it. That's where you have to weigh the cost. Do I want to put up with all these patches because I hit this tree 6 times backing in, or do I need to get a hold of my insurance company? Because most of them, that's considered insurable, and we can put a brand new roof on it, and it'll be better than factory. I know factory guys don't like to hear that, but I've worked in service around production plants, and it's kind of a quick-paced environment there. And now, what they sometimes frown upon is, again, lack of maintenance. Not only have we had some units that were totaled because of floor rot, it's hard to tell somebody that owes $25,000 on their unit still that it's a total, and their insurance isn't going to help them because it was maintenance. So then they don't have a unit they still owe $25,000 on. They can't use it. If you watch our YouTube, do we give a list of maintenance items? If you watch our YouTube or go to our 101, if you watch all of our things or come to them all, that's going to tell you just about everything you need to do. The biggest thing is sealants. Sealants. I can guarantee you there's not an hour that goes by in that shop up there with 20 bays, 12 more here, 2 learning bays, and 8 outside bays. There's not an hour that goes by that we're not bringing something in that needs some kind of sealant or leak repair. We get people that come in 60, 90 days after they bought their unit from us. And this is the one great thing about Guaranty. Usually, while you're still under warranty, and if you bring it to us for a free roof inspection, as long as it's minor sealant on the roof, we will bring it in quick, have one of ours get up there, he'll overlay it like I was talking about. We shake your hand, and the parts department has given us, the sales department has given us just enough leeway to help you out as a customer. This is the first place I've ever worked like that. Everywhere else you'd come in, we'd get up there, do a free roof inspection, say, hey, we got a half hour's worth of work, so for $62.50, I'll get up there and do it. We don't even ask you. We just get up there, we do it. It's written on the repair. If you come in to have a toilet bowl fixed, your repair order is going to say repair toilet bowl, free roof inspection. And we're going to do the inspection, and if it's less than about an hour or so, we're going to get up there, we're going to fix it. Your service writer is going to shake your hand and say, Mr. Customer, we did this for you. Sure, it gives us another opportunity to have that discussion with you about it's your responsibility from here on out. That way, in 14 months when you come in and it needs a little bit, you're not screaming at us because nobody told you. I say screaming at us. It doesn't happen very often, but believe me, it does. So we like to keep that at a minimum. So we help you out for the first year. And after that, we consider it's yours. You know what's going on. Did I get long? Am I going too long, Clint? Okay.
So I want to revisit this.
Oh, he's going to add to this. I can see what's
Yeah,
coming.
just for a minute. So I don't want to speak out of class here because I don't know if we still do, but for years, a lot of the higher end stuff came with this instead of this. And today what we use it for mainly is the one big nasty is the front and rear cap transitions, where it transitions from the cap to the roof. And in the old days, there would be gaps like this because they didn't have their act together. Today now, the whole theory is you have your roof and then they set the cap over it, and that fiberglass should just sit right down on the rubber. Well, that's the theory, and they're getting to the point now where they do it really well. But most of the manufacturers in the last 10 years have been using this at the transition because it is a far superior product to this. Once they fill the voids, they lay this over it, and it looks really good. And it does a very good job. Now the instructions say peel, stick, and adhere, and what they're talking about is rolling this, or I tell people get a rag, put it in the palm of your hand or on your foot, and just work it in hard. The more pressure you can to get this in, the better the adhesion. This stuff won't come off. And I saw a lot of high-end fifth wheels. I don't work in fifth wheels, but I get up there once in a while. I used to a lot, but not anymore. But they would have it around the vents, around the end caps. Are we still doing that?
We are, but we're actually using dye seal. We're not using that product.
Okay. But if
That's a little thinner. We're using an actual dye seal. I'm going to go see if they have some
okay.
while you're flapping.
Blathering on. So this is really good stuff. So a lot of times what we do is when we do a peel and seal is we will get a scraper and a butane blowtorch like plumbers use and get it nice and warm. You don't want it cherry red, but you want it hot. And then you can just peel these sealants right down to the rubber, and these guys are good. On one side of the edge of your rubber roof is an aluminum extrusion, and that the rubber comes down and it goes over the rubber, and then there's a little welt of sealant. And they put their 1.5-inch scraper right on the edge of that aluminum extrusion and float it right above the rubber. And I've watched these guys, and they get up there and they just peel that stuff off because this scraper is probably 500-600 degrees. And they just peel it. It's nice and smooth, perfect clean. And then they go relay it. So a lot of times people, if they're, I tell them how to do it, and they get that all peeled off, and they can do it around their vents, they can do it around everything. They just peel it all off. You don't want to puncture or start digging into the rubber. Just let it float above the rubber and get it off. And the rule of thumb has always been, I'm sorry I'm keeping you up. The rule of thumb has always been, if it's not going to come off, don't worry about it. So peel it, get it down nice, and then a lot of people, it doesn't work on the side rails, but everywhere else, the cap, around your vents, and it's just, you just do a little square. It looks fantastic, and it's actually really easy to do. You just have to really rub it in. And I've about wasted as much time on this as I can, and he's coming back. Does he have anything? No. I couldn't find any earlier.
If you need anything to seal the roof, you may want to go right after you leave here, either here or wherever you're going to go, because Dan just said, with the rain they've said we're going to have this week, apparently we've had a pretty hot rush on sealants.
Huh.
We have no dye seal left.
Well, we've had a really hot, dry summer, so now it's kind of drizzly today. There is our trailer delivery manager, incognito.
Don't diss him out like that.
Hi, Lee. So anyway, really neat stuff. I would say now, if you have a coach that's hasn't had the roof attended to in the last 6 months to 5 years. Now, it's supposed to by Wednesday, I guess, really start let go. So the next few days, you really need to think about addressing this while everything is really dry and good to go.
Now, don't run home this afternoon, get up on your roof, and then all of you call me Monday morning and say, hey, we'll be there in about 20 minutes. Because everybody that already inspected it 2 weeks ago or last week getting ready for hunting season and stuff, we are plumb packed full of leak repairs and sealant jobs. So you got to give us a little bit of time to get you in.
This building right here, I got you just a second. This building here, we shut down new appointments until the 1st of October. We're not taking anything. So if anybody calls in, they're going to end up going to him only. What was your question?
When do you do the free roof inspection?
When you call us.
Call, if you can set up an appointment, it helps. If you can't, just buzz by, get yourself in. You've been up north before to main service, First Street.
First Street, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of wiggle your way in there and say, hey, will somebody come out and give me a roof inspection?
Okay.
Now, sometimes what'll happen is we'll go out and give a roof inspection, do the pictures, and say, yeah, you got 3 or 4 hours worth of roof repair to do. If you just stop in, we're going to have to say, okay, you know you need this done, so you can either do it yourself or have to make an appointment.
Right.
If you come in for a roof inspection, we usually allot about an hour, thinking that if we do find something, you're going to want it done right there, and we try to just to get you done back on the road so you don't have to.
So call and make an
That's the best way.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do the repairs yourself and you're just curious, stop in. We'll just run up, take a bunch of pictures, and say, these are the spots you need to be concerned about. Now, if you do that on a roof that, you know, is 3 or 4 years old, and we say these are the spots that look like they need attention, and you do all that, and over in the corner, a month later, you get a leak, it's still not my fault.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, water will find its way in where you cannot believe. So, yes.
If you were going to take pictures and share them with you guys, just for example, if you want to show the vent, okay, you want all 4 sides of each
Yeah.
item.
That's usually the best, is to get it, you know, get it fairly close, take a picture, and we can tell you, hey, this picture here looks like you need something there, or, yeah.
What do you call your service advisors?
Service advisors.
Do you develop we had dropped the front end Rochester.
Uh-huh.
David.
Dolan's.
Yeah. And so now, do we have a relationship with him, or
Yeah, just call him. Yeah, just call David and say, hey, I want that free roof inspection you were supposed
More than
to
likely, it has it on your RO. You just haven't seen it yet. Your repair order. Sorry. I'm used to calling them ROs. Your repair order, I'll bet you with Dave,
Yeah, he's great.
and it's going to say roof inspection on it, because I don't know if you noticed up at the top of the repair order, right above line 1, where it says no food in the fridge, all that stuff. He's the one that started. He's the one that installed and got all that going here, so that it's questions we, you know.
So so what I'm asking is in the next couple of years, will we always be
No.
automatic? Oh, not necessarily.
No, it's the luck of the draw. If you have really good luck with a certain advisor, we have a lot of advisors that have helped the same customer over and over and over just because they've kind of got something. And they'll even call and say, hey, I want Dave again, or hey, I don't want Dave again. I mean, it happens.
Oh, yeah.
You can go to Safeway, and some checkers you like, some just don't.
Very good.
So one last thing for my building here. We don't do trailers here, but I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I'm always available if I'm here, except for if I'm doing a seminar. And you can track me down. I can do motorized here. If you just, hey, we're passing through, can you look at my roof? Sure. You know, we'll pull it around, get a ladder, get up there and do it. Jim Baker, our shop supervisor here, does them during the week. And if he's busy and I'm here, I usually do them. We do not do towables at this building. So if you have a towable, it's got to be there. And we do this We prefer to do it when we're doing other things, but we'll do it, you know, just about any time.
Dan really loves when you come down when it's pouring outside.
Yeah.
If you could pick like about the rainiest day of the year, hey Dan, we're on our way. I need you to climb up there.
Yeah, well, I was born in this stuff, but doesn't mean I like it.
Yeah. There are certain instances where we won't just run out and get up on a roof if it's icy or pouring down rain or a lightning storm. We may have you hang out till the rain cloud goes over. Any more questions on roof seals? Yes.
Can you buy that stuff in Salem, or do you have to come here?
You should be able to buy any of this in Salem somewhere up there. There's, I'm not afraid to mention their name. There's Roberson's
Yeah.
RV. I think
Yeah.
we have a great working relationship.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
So
company.
they should have just about any of this product. They may, their product, they may not be a Dicor. There's about 5 or 6 different of almost the same product. So
Take a picture of it with your phone and he'll model it for you.
there is one we do not use on rubber that I have, rubber roof, that I have seen other dealers use on it, and I've seen too much reaction between the product, is Acrylar. Acrylar is probably the best self-leveling sealant on the market. If you're a fiberglass roof, aluminum roof, anything but EPDM. I have seen it actually start to bubble rubber roof. This will do rubber, vinyl, you name it, this will do it. And you notice I said vinyl. Starting to see vinyl, starting to see ABS roofs now. ABS roof membranes. So they're thinner. If you wrinkle them, the wrinkle stays. I mean, but it's probably, sounds weird now, 20 years from now, I'll probably be the greatest thing in the world. So, but tell them what you have. They'll, if you just drive into Roberson's or any RV, no, she doesn't have to move the motorhome. She can walk in the door and say, give me some of this stuff. Yeah. If you want a picture or, no. Nope, anybody will help her. And they'll be happy to sell her some of this, and they should, as soon as they sell it. If you tell them you're not sure what to do, they should go right into their, well, this is what we do. If they're afraid to tell you how to install it or how to use it or the benefits of it, then they don't know their product. Sorry, I got long there. You look sleepy. Am I putting you to sleep? She wanted to sleep in this morning. But she told me that, so we're good. I told her I did too. Okay, what else on rubber roofs, fiberglass roofs, extrusions, sealants?
Just washing them with soft brush, soap and water.
That's where this guy's coming in next. You just, perfect, you just open for him right there.
You segued right into that. Yes, good word.
Did you want to take 5, 6, 7 minutes just to get some strawberries and stuff?
Oh, I guess I did.
No, it's been an hour. I thought everybody might want to get up and get some coffee, and since we're starting fresh.
Okay.
Okay.
If you guys take 10, we'll come back and start all over again. Something else. Are you guys ready?
We're going to go over Dan's favorite part, which is roof prep, and then on to covers. And he'll explain the difference in the covers. It's all you. I'll just sit here and look good.
And you're good at that. So anyway, we've pretty well gone over how to maintain it. Now we're going to talk about a little preventative maintenance besides the inspection and that. And a lot of people ask us, well, how do you clean your roofs? And we have pressure washers. Now, they're not 4,500 PSI, and you're not drilling a hole with a tip down 3 inches off the deck. They're little 2,800, 2,500, and you keep your wand way back, about a foot. And you just go through and clean your roof, and you don't drill holes, and you're not trying to lift any sealants that are flapping, just remember it, and just kind of clean it. And if you do your sides, always go up. Okay, no, I'm teasing. You always go level or down. If you go up, it's going to blow into your windows and under your vents. And so this or this, never up like this. Once you get your roof cleaned, you're going to notice a couple spots of pitch and some either black spots or red spots, and you want to know what they are. The pitch, there's nothing you can do. Live with it. The rubber under there is going to last 5,000 years. You know, it's just, that's the way it is. The red and the black are algae. And if you remember earlier, he was talking about we get a crack or a pore and the dirt gets in there, and then the little bugs start growing and we get a little farmer going in there. And if it bothers you, you can take bleach and kill the algae and, you know, feel good about, you know, killing something. Doesn't really matter because the algae is not eating on the rubber. It's just there. So you want to clean your roof, get the big debris off of it. When you're up there, we do a lot of seminars. We've been doing these for years, and he has this story about one time a guy brought his fridge in because it didn't work, and we opened up the back, and 500 pounds of, what was it? Was it
Hazel, filberts.
Filberts? 500 pounds of
shells.
filbert seeds because the squirrel had moved into the reefer vent. So when you're up there pressure washing, inspect your vents, your plumbing vents, your reefer vents, and all of that. Try not to step your foot through your vents, and just inspect them. So when you're done with your inspection and you're wondering why you have such a problem with white streaks and black streaks, this stuff came out about 15, 20 years ago, and I'm old school, so I'm very resistant to change. And I thought, oh, that's just stupid, that's a gimmick. And then I kind of got my nose rubbed in it, and being stubborn, that kind of works sometimes. You have to do that. So what this is it's like shellac. After you clean your roof, and it's the next day or a few hours later, and it's dry, this really is very good product. You mop it, you just glop, 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 mop it, slop it around. You really don't care. It's not going to hurt anything. Just don't spill it over the side, because then you need to clean it. But what this does is puts kind of a shellac finish on your roof, and it seals it. It stops the pigment from being shed from the weather, and so you stop those white streaks. It extends the life of the pigment, because the rubber is basically black, and once you've lost your pigment, it's just not an effective system anymore, and you have to replace the whole membrane. But this will slow that down. It'll seal the roof, and it'll make the maintenance a lot easier. Once the roof is clean, this is a really easy application. This isn't very expensive. You do it once a year. The only caveat is, do not ever get up on that roof if there's any moisture around. If you have put this on your roof, because it is so slick. You will be first step and you're on your back on the side, laying on the ground. It is very slick. This and water, you're gone. But it really works well. It's easy to apply. It's very good stuff.
Can I, 30 seconds?
It's
Can I
your turn.
get in? Now, when I handed these out earlier, I saw everybody, yep, it's a rubber roof, and just handed it aside. How many of you noticed all the reflectors in it?
How many what?
The reflector, I call them glitter.
Oh.
I know you have the scientific name because you went to college and you went to science class.
And I make a lot of stuff up.
Do you? Well, if you look at these again, you'll notice if you get it right in the right sunlight, it looks like somebody has glued and glittered.
Wow, man.
I mean, it is shiny. That's to reflect the sun. So by putting that on here, it actually glues those in place, because I can guarantee you, if I rub my fingers like that on that about 4 times, I've got glitter all over my fingers. It will come off, it will come out, and as those disappear, the sun takes its toll on it. So that helps seal this down. Sorry, just wanted to...
I didn't know that.
You did? I thought you did.
I knew about the glitter, but I don't know
Yeah.
what it's called or anything. I was told it's a form of a talc, but
Yeah.
I don't know that much.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Huh. Yes, ma'am.
How long does it take that to dry?
I would guess this stuff probably half hour, 45 minutes. It's pretty fast.
So were you saying you would use a rag mop rather than?
Yeah, just quick and dirty. It's the slop and go. Now there's 3 brands out there. Dicor, which is the name of this lap sealant, and they're the people that really brought the rubber into our industry. They have some, and they did it because these guys were doing such a good job of it. Protectol is a good American company. This is the best stuff. That's why I bring this. But Dicor makes some. They think theirs is better, but it isn't. And then there's a couple other brands, and I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a minute. You need to be very careful about the chemicals you buy. Make sure they're made in America. Is the China word we have found years ago, and they've started to admit it, like with the Thetford chemicals. Every country has to deal with toxic waste. And you know how those guys deal with it?
They send it here.
They put a very small amount in their chemicals. And then, now we've got them. So, your toilet chemical, and this is something he usually talks about. This is a very good, made in Oregon, very good company. There aren't going to be any trace toxic chemicals in it. The Chinese version of this, I think it's Camco. I wouldn't get that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and I'm not at all. But that's true. That is very true about they're dosing all of the chemicals that they sell. So you have to kind of be careful where you buy, you know, and this is one area you watch, where you buy your chemicals.
If you care. A lot of people don't, but
Yeah.
even I care.
Oh, especially, he's a
I
very
look
good
back
man.
at things companies have had me spray all over the place, and I think, boy, I helped mess this place up pretty bad for my grandkids, and hopefully enough of us will take action and try to get it back for them.
You're a good man. So, I don't know, you want to talk about the value of one of these?
Yeah, Maxx air covers. They're really not going to keep your roof from leaking. They're just while you're up there if you want to install one. What they will help with is interior moisture. Looks almost like an Oregon football helmet, doesn't it? I had to say that for...
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. You put this over the top of your vents, of course. And then what they've started doing on these new ones, the Maxx Air 2s, why we like them, is the Maxx Airs, you had to unbolt them every time and take them off to clean underneath them. What you do with the new ones is pull 2 pins and it just folds over on the roof. Then you can clean, fold it back down, put in 2 pins, and you're done. The reason for this is not only for the bathroom vent, that for some reason the vent needs to be open in a bathroom more than any other room. But in Oregon, a lot of Oregon, Washington, Northern California, a lot of places, we still go camping and it's 70 degrees outside, but it's still raining. You put this over and you can open your vent. It can be raining. You get air coming through the unit. They're just, we install a ton of them. Now, it also...
You've got to penetrate the roof.
No.
No, these actually, the mounts on these actually mount sideways into your vent.
They're little L-shaped brackets that you mount into the vent, and then you drop this down on it, and there's a stud on the L-shaped bracket. There is no penetration. Very, very, very cool.
The other reason for those is to try to get some of the moisture out of the inside of your unit.
Yeah, and it's easy to do.
I know they've done research on this, but a human body loses 1 quart of water a day. While you're sleeping at night, if 2 people are in that unit, you have almost a half gallon of water expelled while you're sleeping. And we get people, there's a leak, my walls are all wet. And it is so hard to explain to them, no, the walls in your bedroom are wet because it's 46 degrees outside and you're breathing in there and you got your 2 black labs in there with you and the windows are all fogged up because you're not letting any air out or water out and air in. It's okay to open and crack some windows even if it's cold outside. Open and crack some vents, especially if you're going to be living in it. If you're not going to be living in it, then they have things called, this is my favorite.
That's why I said it there.
He likes the old dry airs.
Yeah.
Those are really fun until you leave it on the kitchen table. Go to get fuel or propane and forget that was on the kitchen table with all the water in it. And you come back and the wife screams and it's all over the floor and dripping into the dog dish. And yeah, these are a little more, but they smell good. They're not overpowering. All you do is take it out, hang it up somewhere in your unit, and somewhere between 30 and 90 days later, throw it in the garbage can. They are a little more. It's not like you use one every week. So I swear by these. And I don't think we get the lavender vanilla because I'm not a huge lavender fan, but we get one. They're not that, it's a pleasant smell. It's not overpowering. So I swear by those. He likes the dry airs because that's what Grandpa had.
Exactly.
Boy, I think we're right on to the
Well,
the end.
I want to say one more thing.
I figured I forgot something or he wouldn't have been carrying that around.
So he's saying, hey, you can tip this thing over and clean out underneath it. And when these first came out, the rep came out and said, oh yeah, you can tip it over and clean the leaves out. Okay, it sits flush on the deck. How are you going to get leaves in it?
Yeah.
There's no way to get a leaf in here. There's nothing for you to
Not
clean
with the
out.
screens.
But it's pretty cool. The main reason we promote this, and if you bought a coach from us and you came to us and said we'd like to have a couple covers on it, and these are like $5 or $10 more than the Maxx Airs. They're slightly larger, but the reason we promote them isn't so that you can tip it over and clean them out.
I do. I'm in service. Because when I'm doing your roof inspection, I want to be able to see your seals even.
You know, that's
and
legitimate.
the sun will get through there.
That's legitimate. I'd almost like to take back my
No, I'm going to let you
caustic
go. Go ahead and
comments
just
here.
thrash me. Go for it.
But anyway, the main reason we promote this is airflow. The design of this one has over twice the airflow, or should I say it has less than half the restriction to airflow. So if you have a fan here and you put some of the cheap ones on, you're only doing halfway. You're not really letting it breathe. This one really opens it up and lets you breathe. Fantastic fan makes a vent cover that is even less restrictive than this one, but it has other issues. So, and it's like $100 more, $50 more. They're really expensive. This is the best one for the dollar because it has less restriction. You have more area. It actually has screens in here where the Maxx Air doesn't. So,
And you know, we've mentioned Maxx Air. We've mentioned Maxx Air now about 7 times.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, we get a pile of those because people love, Maxx Air is a huge name. I don't know if any of you, they've got a blade in them that is relatively quiet. That if you have one in your bedroom, a vent, and one in the living room or kitchen, if you open those up and let us put a Maxx Air in the front one with covers on it, when you turn that thing on, you'll feel it. I mean, you can stand halfway in between and it'll almost make my hair blow in the breeze. So if you get this blowing in the breeze, you know it's got some air movement. They move some air. That's why we sell a lot of them. Matter of fact, they even sell a Maxx Air that has a thermostat on it because in the right conditions, it can actually drop the temperature enough where it can have a thermostat to turn on and off. And if you have dogs and cats, it's great to get that air in there. Sorry, just went off on went out there.
You're a wealth of information.
Okay, now, this is all you.
Okay. So another thing that we had to learn the hard way about is these covers. But if I live on a farm about 2.5 miles that way, about 1,000 feet off the road, but you'll know it by the trailer and the 2 trucks that have covers on them, because these suckers really work. At first I was really hesitant, but I've been using them now for years, and if you secure them snugly so they don't flap around, they last 4 or 5 years. And this Tyvek is nicer looking than the gray, but it is for bright weather. They don't do well in a moist environment like and they call it aqua shed. They have no real patent name for it. They just say, yeah, the aqua shed. And it's not like the Tyvek. The aqua shed is designed for the environment that we live in because it will breathe.
Gloomy, wet.
Yeah.
Gloomy, wet environment.
We come back from a weekend and guess what? It's been raining. Then drag the cover out of the garage before we put our truck away, and my wife and I can just walk it right over the trailer, and 2 sticks if the wind isn't going too bad, or 2 ladders if there's a lot of wind. We can just pull it up over and move the trailer, the ladders a couple times, and we're done. It has corset ties on the back and the front, and then it has the straps. It is easy to use. It's not that hard if you have 2 people, and I'm sure that one industrious guy could do it himself. I've done ours 100 times. And then the ones for our pickup that just sits out for all winter, 24/7 every day, that one fits really good, and it was like, I'd have to say less than 80 bucks. The one for the trailer was like $250.
And I think he's lying to me. And I've often told him I'm going to have him come over and show me how to put mine on.
Yeah.
Because I bought one, and at no point can 2 of us get it on without getting on the roof and stepping through my skylight.
When we had a 5th wheel, I'd have to get on the roof for the rope and pull it up. But this trailer we have
That's
one
true.
of those.
You got just a little closer to the ground now.
Yeah, we have a little cargo trailer. What is it? Work and Play. I bought it, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago when I remodeled my house up in Port Orchard. And it's just like a half camper, half box.
Yeah.
And so it's not real tall, but we can just walk it right on. But yeah, 5th wheels, bigger units are harder, given once you do them, but they really do a good job. And you can put your coach away wet and come back a week later, and inside you undo the zipper and you go in the door, you'll notice that your sidewalls and everything are dry, even though it's raining outside. You may have a little moisture here and there, but the aqua shed does not hold the moisture. It breathes it out. Now, if you store your coach over in Bend or one of those places over there where we have the drier climate, or if you're in Southern California or Arizona, you want this on there. This Tyvek will stand for the sun so much better.
That's what it was.
What? Thunder?
Yeah.
He speaks, we listen.
Yeah.
But anyway, the dry climates, this works better. And you can buy expensive Tyvek covers that are $600, $700, but that's not applicable for our environment. They're a semi-custom fit. And it just depends on which zipper you use. Each compartment's about 6 feet, and you got a door right here, so unzip that one and roll it up, and they work really well. Again, we're not the only people that sell these, but if you don't have a shed, as much money as people spend on roof maintenance, I just can't believe, I drive by these storage places out here and people leave their coaches there. It just dumbfounds me. You know, there's such an investment there. They're just letting it go.
Speaking of investment, if you decide you're going to do this RVing stuff for a long time and you like it and you have the room for it, invest in a shed. It can be open-sided. Invest in one of these. Make sure your city code, you know, because now everybody's not okay with a shed they were okay with 10 years ago. But, you know, these metal top, real nice looking, pole barn looking things, and it's worth the investment. However, if it's your first trailer, don't get up there and measure it and say, okay, it's only 11 foot tall, so we'll make our shed 12 foot tall and this wide. Because in 2 years is when your wife's going to say, you know what, I've been thinking we need to go to a 5 foot longer fifth wheel. It's a lot easier to build it for the bigger at the beginning. Because I've gone from a teardrop to a custom-made cargo trailer that I built to a Class C motorhome to a Class A motorhome, black to another cargo trailer to a 26-foot fifth wheel up to a 29-foot fifth wheel. Now we're in a 36-foot fifth wheel. And since we're not living in it, we're looking to get back down to about a 26. So we can get into some camping spots that we really miss that you're not getting into with 36. So,
make your shed big.
Yeah.
So is covering it going to promote the mold or anything?
No, because it breathes. It breathes in and out. You can put the cover on it when it's wet and come out several days later and it'll be dry. Yes.
Challenge for us is what to do when you take it off. And we did the gigantic garbage can thing, but even that doesn't seem.
Isn't it amazing? You buy it and then it's in a box that big,
Yeah.
and then you take it off your trailer and it'll fill the back of your truck. Oh yeah. It's like a Christmas present when you were 9. No way you're getting it back in there.
Yeah.
I've heard people say to roll them. I've heard people say they take a dowel and actually lay them down and roll them up, and then they have 2 ropes they hang from the rafters in the garage, and they just hang it from the rafters. I've heard all sorts of things.
You know, and you
I
hear
tried
that.
it once, and mine went to the Lane County landfill because they wouldn't let me recycle it, and then I just didn't have to worry about it again. They are nice. It just wasn't for me at the time.
If you hear somebody telling you, oh yeah, you just roll it up or something, they've never done it. Because here now you got this 35, 40 foot long snake, and it's like if you ever tried folding a king size fitted sheet, and ain't gonna happen. Well, pretend that fitted sheet's 45 feet long.
My wife does it all the time. It's amazing.
So we just wad it up, back the truck out. We've got an empty garage bay. Now we just throw that thing in there. When we get home, we drag it out.
That makes sense.
That's all we. There's nothing else you can do with it, because there's no way that we can get that into, like you said, a 55-gallon drum or garbage can. Ain't gonna happen. You'd have to have 2 or 3 of them, you know.
25 foot, so it actually does fit in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now this.
You have to remember, you know, take it off back and put it on.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how we do it. It kind of forces us to put it right back on. But I tell you, my roof is in really good shape, and this thing's 6, 7 years old. And I don't have to worry about the body finish or anything like that. These are a good deal. They're just a pain in the neck.
So I got to tell you about, you know how I just said you never get it back in the box? Here a couple years ago, these foam mattresses are getting real popular,
Oh, my
memory
God.
foam and other foam. So we started, because when we take any used unit, if the mattress is bad, we'll replace the mattress. So we started buying these mattresses, and I think they were a mattress, you know, they're a Sealy, some mattress name, but they're in a box about that square and about that long. You'd carry it in the motorhome and take it out of the box, and it looked like this big sausage. And I remember the first time a guy had me come in and watch. I mean, it was a huge thing. You take it in, You put your finger under your razor knife and you go, zoop, and all of a sudden this thing does this, flops over on the bed, rolls out, and within about 5 minutes, you got about that much foam mattress, king size. I don't know what, I would like to see the machine that sucks that down and sticks it in that little sausage casing. It's got to be amazing.
They say,
yeah,
they say it takes an hour to totally
yeah, but at 52, that just still amazed me.
Yeah. Is there anything else we can amaze him over? Any other conversations?
If you have any other questions,
you've been really quiet today. What's the deal?
He doesn't have his buddy with him. It's usually not him that's quiet, or it's not him that's noisy. It's his buddy. I guess you. Well, a lot of the times they'll get in and out. If you have a custom one made, you can have a zipper put right where your entry door is, or right where your favorite bay door is, or you can have access points put in wherever you want. And a lot of the times you'll see them tied back with people going in and out the week before hunting season, or I wouldn't live in there. It'd be a little dark. It would breathe. I mean, it wouldn't hurt you. You know, I don't know. Yeah, if it breathes.
Yeah, but
carbon monoxide, that would all go out.
You'd catch on fire.
Yeah, you can't run the refrigerator, the water heater, the furnace. So, yeah. 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 Any other questions we didn't cover you might want to know about? Something you were hoping we'd go over and just didn't today. I don't want you to leave and say, man, I wish I had just asked him about that.
I think we've got them.
It's going to happen anyways. They're going to, 5 minutes from here, they're going to go, yeah. I'll tell you what, if you have that question, my name's David Taylor, and you have to say David Taylor in service, because we have 2 David M. Taylors that work here. And if you want to see a 401k, emails and phone calls get messed up, we were even born the same year. So if you have a question that wasn't answered today and you think of something, call Guaranty and ask for me. They'll put you right through. Either I'll answer or they'll take your number, and depending on how busy of a day it is and how many meetings I'm in, usually within a half hour to 2 hours, I'll call you back and we'll talk about it. And if I don't have the answer, I'll get somebody in my shop that does. And if it has anything to do with the new satellites or these UHB plugins and anything techie like that, and a lot of the new electronics, I've been out of the actual service doing it part long enough that sometimes I got to call in some help from the shop.
Last thing I want to say is, before I thank you, is please call and ask for him, because they all default back to me. So if you don't ask for him, then I get them. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't hear you talk about gel gloss.
Gel gloss.
I'm sorry?
Gel gloss.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I picked it up. And you know what this stuff is the best for? Is if you ever get your shower stall really clean, you know, which is not very often.
Hi, Marvin.
You put this on your shower wall, the plastic or fiberglass tub wrap, and it keeps it so much cleaner. The soap doesn't get into the pores and the algae doesn't start growing.
You don't get that pink and black growing in your...
Yeah.
Your wife won't make you speed you to shower every time?
Well, you'll probably still have to do that.
Good for you, but don't talk to my wife, okay? But you know, that's why, you know, it's kind of a preventive maintenance thing. It's one of those silly things that I like to talk about, like tire safety. But if you have a new coach, or if you really cleaned your shower stall, after it's dry, just slop this stuff on there. It'll dry. It's kind of slippery, but again, it's like a rubber roof treatment. This stuff right here, it fills the pores so that that weird looking stuff and the black stuff doesn't start growing. And that's why I have it. Neat. It's good for that. Anything else? I mean,
Batteries, solar panels.
you
all
got
that
paid
shit.
for 2 hours and you're giving.
Yeah. I'm making money today. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say. Happy camper. You just got a new unit, you said, 2018 Sundance. Hooray for you. Great unit. You're going to want that for your black tank and gray tanks to treat your tanks while you're doing what happens in there. Take a scoop or two, directions are on the back, put them in a 5-gallon bucket, stir it up a little bit, dump it in your black and gray tank to pre-treat your tank. You don't want to start with a dry tank, have a little bit of liquid in the bottom. I don't know if you knew, you may have owned 56 RVs, I don't know, but this stuff's really good. Knocks down on the smell.
You guys talk about inverters?
About the old, I can explain what they do. When we get into inverters, the best thing to do is have a one-on-one conversation with an inverter professional like Dan, and you can explain to him what you want to happen, and he can explain to you what we can make happen, and then he's going to say, and then how much do you want to spend? Because once we start talking inverters, then he's going to start talking solar panels. Because if you're inverting, you're not plugged in. And if you're not plugged in, you need to refuel the fuel tanks, which is your batteries. So, and then we have people who just want a little 1,000-watt to run a television. I mean, it all depends on what, it's very personal. Even solar panels very personal. So if you have questions about it, it's best to do on a one-on-one. We do talk about inverters and converters, and I explain how they work and why they're there and what they do. And but yeah.
But I'm the guy for that. I've
I've
been doing this forever. If you have questions, they'll all send you to me. I'm here Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Mondays, and that's part of what I do. But he's right, it's a very personal thing. Each one is different, depends on your coach, your needs. You had a question, young lady? Oh, okay. Just getting antsy.
Well,
Anything?
it's your turn, so you got to think of something.
Well, Ted's not done with her coach yet. So.
Oh, well, we can keep talking till he is.
No.
Okay. Then I say thanks for coming. It was nice to have a smaller group of people to chat with, get a little more personal. And we're going to do this in next month is winterizing.
Yeah, winterizing.
And then that's our last one
Until
for
January.
3 months, 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a couple months
And then,
off.
yep. So thanks for coming. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank
Go
you,
Ducks.
guys.
And Beavers if there's Beaver people. I hear there's a game too.